Hello and welcome back to Bricking It. Today we're going to be building Flourish and Blotts and Florian Fortesque's ice cream parlour. As usual, we're going to start with the cover, so let's strip this back and see where we start. So here are our covers. On the left we see Flourish and Blotts, and on the right our cover coloured for Florian Fortesque's ice cream parlour. Unfortunately, because that is on the main set a huge really nice 3D sign of that table and chair set, we don't get a sticker, so we're just representing with the colours. Both studs out this time for a nice bit of change. Here you can see some of the infrastructure parts we've got for storage. We can put this aside because our build is going to be focused around this cover. So we've got a few bits and bobs on the inside for a change, which we don't usually have on our covers, but because we're dealing with such large windows, I kind of wanted to put a little something inside the windows. Now, because of the nature of their placement, this side we are lucky to have a nice clear flat place to attach some stickers, so that's what I've done. Just used the Magical Me book cover and a couple of stacks of books from Charms class, Hogwarts moment set, just to put some interest in the window. And then for our poster display, all we've got is a 1x3 tile, a couple of clips, a pair of these round-ended bricks. Could equally have been a bar piece, but I didn't have one in the colour that was discreet enough. They all stood out a bit too much. That's going to just clip onto that 1x2, and that just raises it out from the side. I needed to obviously reverse the stud direction, because obviously it would be studs in and I needed it to be studs out for the sticker piece. There's a few moments working out how to do that, till I remembered that obviously clips work both ways round, and that just makes it stand proud enough that it's close to the window but not too close that it's pushing the windows out from the build. And at the top here, this is just a little infrastructure piece, but it doesn't get in the way of our build. That can sit there during construction. Okay, let's look at the first part of the build. So the first part of our build is going to be our doorway. These are all the parts we need to make the doorway portion of the module. So let's put this all together. So there's our doorway. See the way the steps slot underneath that nice beveled entryway. Brackets on the back ready for attachment. We'll do that in a moment after we look at our windows. So these are the parts for our window build. I'm going to put this all together now. This window was again the single most expensive piece of the build, with it being printed and limited in availability. It's exclusive to the Diagon Alley set, but not strangely too hard to come by. Not inexpensive, but generally when the sets get broken down, the most wanted parts for buyers are the minifigs, unsurprisingly. So often there's lots of parts available, but still our sellers need to make their money back, and rightly so. So still these unique printed parts are fairly expensive. That being said though, let's build our window. That's the first portion of our window build. You can see we've just got this little bit of pavement on the front, because when we get a bit bigger you'll notice that Flourish and Blotts is very front heavy. We need just a little bit of extra frontage just to hold it up. Again, on the original we've got bins of used books out the front here, and it's something I might add in the future, but it's just working out how to store them in the cases yet still get a pleasing little build. But for now, this is what we've got. Now we're going to finish this roof piece here with this column of bricks in the sand green and the reddish brown. We've got our top bracket for security, the top of our detail panel running around here, and just on the top here a little hinge, and that's going to hold our roof on when the time comes. So that's the first of our walls, and that is mirrored on the other side by another piece just the same, and we can now install these into our cover along with our doorway. So if you're familiar with the Diagon Alley set, you'll actually notice that my build is a couple of studs wider than the original, because in the original build we only get 5 of these panes exposed and the 6th one is actually covered up. And again, I was originally working to that plan, but the way it all worked out, it was just easier to use the full width of the window on both sides, because it got me some spaces I need for other bits of the build which you'll see later, and just made things a lot easier and actually allowed them to stack away because we just stuck to that 2 stud depth. So let's install our windows. So we're going to start with this one here, and as you can see our book display in there just inside the window, just for a little bit of visual interest, as these are such wide open windows. The door's going to span the gap between the spine and the cover, and likewise this one's going to do the same. That'll just help hold all of our parts flat and square. So that is most of the flat frontage of Flourish and Blotts. Now we have the biggest headache of the entire build, and that is our big bay window. So let's have a look at how this is constructed. So here's our bay broken down. I've not broken it down completely because frankly I'm scared of not remembering how it goes back together, because this was a tricky beast to construct. So obviously I had the original instructions from Lego to go on, but really they weren't a huge amount of help, because the bay window was so integral to the upstairs build of Flourish and Blotts that although I could use it as an initial guide, I kind of had to freestyle a little bit, and that's why the dimensions have changed. Some of the construction techniques are different, but it gives in the end the same overall type of effect. So let's see what we've got going on. Let's take away a couple of these plates. So we've got a little box, a couple of 2x3 plates on the bottom, capture the row of plate, and then these jumpers here, a couple of bricks, and these snot bricks here have studs on both sides, and then the box is just backed across here with some standard bricks. So you can pretty much see the colours tell you where the bricks are for that construction. It's fairly simple. And then we need to build our display. So we've got our signs. Now this is again, fairly precarious bit of the build. Just a single stud securing these wing bases on. Just a plate and tile arrangement, just studded on just there. It's going to frame up our bay nicely. And the top, again, kind of the opposite. So we've got the plates with the tiles on top. So these are all studded out, ready to receive our windows on the next level up. It's just going to sit on top of here, and we'll get our nice bayed out sign. So it took quite a while to crack that one. It's not perfect. I mean, these should probably be grey all the way across, but I'm happy with it. It does the job I want it to do. So when it comes to building our windows, we're going to start off with our window frame. So this is just a snot brick construction. Some cheese wedges on top. Little round tile underneath. Doesn't need to be round, but just to match our other window frames, I thought I'd make those ones round instead of square. They're going to sit there. And then our front frame is actually made up of cylinders instead of square bricks, because the way the angles are slightly different from the original. Once we install these side windows here, though we do get a bit of gappage, we were getting with square bricks conflict, which meant that the bricks had to be angled, which was not quite so much fun to look at. So I had to source these sand green cylinders, which was not as easy as I thought it was going to be. So the last of our windows, 6 panes held together with a couple of jumpers. Just going to pop on there, and they need the jumpers on because they're going to fit into the stud plugs rather than the anti-stud recesses on the top of our bay. Again, simplified from the original design, just a layer of tile on top of a layer of plate. That's all going to secure in there, hopefully without exploding the entire piece. Yeah, lovely, good stuff. And then to finish it off, another sticker liberated from the Charms class sticker sheet. That's just going to sit in the window there, so we've got a bit of visual interest through the window. Right, I'm going to try and do this on camera. This may end up as an outtake. Cutting room floor job, but we will see. So this front row here is going to receive the back row of anti-studs on our bay. Now it's a bit tricky, you've got to kind of ease it in because these wings here stick out a little bit. They sit nicely into the recesses here, but they don't make installation particularly easy. Let's see if I can keep this in frame. Right, secure it into place, and that has got to be the easiest installation ever. I don't think it's ever gone that smoothly. Well, yay me. Let's do the roof. So here we see we've got these 2 hinges on the top of the roof. They're going to receive a super simple roof. It's really just a roof facade made of 2 of these lovely tiles with studs on 3 edges, held together with a couple of bricks. We just need to, it's much easier to stud these into the roof first. That's going to go into the second row of studs. Whoop. Never say it's going to be much easier. Angle these slightly, put installation, pop on there and there. And there we have our roof, covered covered in fingerprints. What a state. But that's the first part of our build complete with Flourish and Blotts bookshop. Let's move on to the ice cream shop. So here's our facade for the ice cream parlour. It's deceptively simple and unfortunately plain. Obviously up here on the main build, we've got that lovely table and chair 3D sign. I'd like to attempt it in the future. It's just, I know as it stands now, storage of it will be quite tricky. So for the moment, we're just going to have to imagine its presence. So we're going to work on this one backwards, just so you can see, because the build itself isn't so much of interest. It's just building a 1x wall, but the reasons behind it are worthy of conversation. So first things first, we're going to remove our roof and its hinges. We're going to remove the awning and the pitch roof. So as you can see, pitch roof, just a selection of plates. Now because the roof's in reddish brown, I'm considering I might go for reddish brown lower roof, but I like the dark brown, looks a bit nicer. So could have done that as one piece, but again we need to be able to store it. So it's on these two shorter lengths. The awning, fairly similar to what you get in the main kit. So just a long stack of plates with a tile on the end, a couple of these brackets just here. It's going to hold our pitched roof on. Right. Now our building is broken down into a few different pieces. Again, we've got a reverse door, because as you can see we've got a hinge here and the doorknob just interferes with the hinge arrangement when it's closed down. This top bit of the roof is in two parts. You see the bracket that holds it onto the book, and then this central section here, which is for some reason leaving its bracket behind, comes away. And when storing this in our book cover, we actually store it like that. So we shrink it down just by this brick and 2 plates height, and that will get us to exactly the height of the book cover. But because it's wider than we want it to be, it's a full, as you can see, it's 12 studs wide, and our book covers are only 10 studs across, so to make sure it fits, we need to have a hinge in there, and that's how it's going to store away in the book. So we lose quite a few detail bits. The windows are different, and we get quite a plain frontage, but that's not too bad, because when it's sitting next to Flourish and Blotts with all that's going on the front of that building, it's just a nice little splash of a different colour or colours without being too fussy, and it assembles quite nicely and quickly. Not too much messing around with this one. Again, we're going to put hinges on the roof, one stud down from the edge, and we put those on there. Get a bit of overhang on that roof. So there's our build. Bring this back in. Stud onto there. And there we have a build. Let's get a nicer angle on that. So there we go. Looking quite nice. It's our bookshop, wider than its original inspiration. I think the ice cream shop's about the same width as the original. Kind of plain, kind of boring on this side. Lots going on over here. We've got these great windows, window displays. Books are shown up nicely in the top floor there. Very nice. And I think with a couple of book bins out the front, which may be a future project, as well as the table and chairs at the front of the ice cream parlour. May have to do one more book cover for Diagon Alley. It just contains bits of street furniture and interest. So there we have it. That is Flourish and Blotts. Now one task remains, and that's to store it all away. So there we have it. That was a breakdown on a time lapse. Didn't take too long, a couple of minutes maybe, and including me breaking it about 3 or 4 times while I was doing it. So let's change our angle and have a look how this all stores away. Alright, first things first, let's deal with our main components. So this window goes back exactly where it lives. I'm going to take this off here, transfer it over to the other side so we don't get any conflicts. Load this window in here, and then that little way just sits here in the middle. Do need to remove our steps, they're going to store away somewhere else. Got this little infrastructure piece, it's just going to sit here. As you can see, we've got acres of room now to store away extra parts. So we're going to start off with the roof, and we're going to store away our roofs and pavements. Just like this. There's a little block, and they're going to hang. Oh no, wrong way around. Hold on. Okay, that's the right way around. They can hang off of this brick here. They're going to fill that centre section up quite nicely. And small roofs, just going to sit on there like that. Still got plenty of space. Acres, in fact. I don't know why I'm worried about having somewhere to store book bins. I could easily pop them away. Clearly just sheer laziness that's stopped me building them so far. These hinges away. Just on there. And then we need to store our steps. And there we go. That's our first book stored away. I really do have no excuse for not making a 3D sign for the ice cream shop. All those book bins. Oh well, that's an update for the future. So that's our first cover. Second one's a little bit more tricky. Got our ice cream shop. That in at the end here. Hopefully now, that's where we need to remember what we're doing. It's going to go there. That's going to go on there. Oh, used to be indecisive, but now I'm not so sure. I'm going to sit on that. And this bracket is all we need to hang that there. I think, no, it was going too well. Yes. Okay. So we've got, oh dear. So we've got our ice cream shop and all of its bits and pieces on that side of the block, and on this side we just hang our awning off that bracket, and that fills in that side of the book. And there we go, and still with spare space. I was clearly just keen to get this one finished because that bay really did take a little while to solve. But yep, definitely enough space for a 3D sign. So I think I may revisit these builds to add that in. So that's our fourth and so far final build for our Diagon Alley in a moment set. If you'd enjoyed this video, please leave us a like, and if you'd like to see a review of the final Diagon Alley, as well as apparently some updates to this set, then please consider subscribing to Bricking It. Bye.